The teacher would acknowledge the student's question and briefly summarize what the kappa was and how the student wears it because of their religion. Have the student's parents come in and talk to the classroom. This would be culturally responsive because the students are engaging in other cultures and other religions. It lets the children know that there are different cultures.
After our research that we did as a group, we came up with 3 alternate methods. Our first method is Be Prepared, which comes from the source Preparing for Culturally Responsive Teaching by Geneva Gay. She claims that many teachers are unprepared to teach their diverse students in their classroom. This is because they don't have a solid understanding of the different cultures. She says a teacher's knowledge needs to go beyond just having respect for the students and their cultures. Instead, they need to be actively learning factual and unbiased information about the cultures in their class. Also, a teacher must be aware of situations when possible tension or questions can arise during a lesson. We would add this method to our solution by actively learning about the students and their cultures in our classroom, before a situation like this can even happen. We also would like to consider this obstacle while writing our lesson plan. If we were able to recognize this possible situation, we could leave time for an explanation about why there are some exceptions to this rule about hats before a student even needs to ask. Our next method is introducing religious freedom. This idea came from the source, the Article of Faith, number 11 from LDS Scripture. This scripture talks about religious freedom and how we want all people to be able to worship how, where, or what they may. Now, of course, we wouldn't be reading this scripture in the classroom because it wouldn't be appropriate. However, we could introduce the idea that our country believes in religious freedom, and it is a part of our laws and constitution that anyone is able to practice their religion, and that is why there is an exception to this rule in our classroom. Our last method is culturally responsive curriculum. This idea came from White Teachers' Diverse Classroom, one of our class readings. This article explains that teachers must be engaged in culturally relevant pedagogy by actively adjusting their curriculum. This means that teachers need to be prepared to fill in holes in curriculum based on their students' needs and abilities to use critical analysis. A more advanced classroom would require a teacher to have more preparation. We would involve this method into our solution by trying to always be mindful of culturally responsive and relevant teaching. We would like to be able to weave this throughout all kinds of lesson plans, curriculum, so that we're continually building a more tolerant and responsive and accepting classroom.
The first issue would be community conflict between religions. Based on where you are at in your location, there could be different religions that collide with one another, and that could cause conflict within your classroom. A response to that would be to just be aware and be prepared and just know your location so that you're able to take care of that before it gets too out of hand. The second issue would be bullying. There are many students, just based on lack of knowledge or just lack of tolerance, that could bully this specific student for wearing the kippah. A response to that would be just to change the lesson on the very first day of school in our solution. When we were doing our expectations, we would add to the list no bullying and that everyone's a friend to one another despite our differences. And then the last issue would be different levels of religious knowledge, especially in students that are younger or don't have that much knowledge on religion. There could be different levels of what they know and what they don't know. And a response to that would be just to use childlike analogies to project something more adult, a more adult-like situation.
One of them being thinking about the child's feelings, the one that is wearing the kippah. If necessary, it's important to pull the child aside and make sure that everything's okay. The thing to consider is about how the parents might feel if we were to talk about the religion and different religions in the classroom. We want to make sure that what is discussed is appropriate and that the parents are okay with that. Another thing that we thought about is making sure that we are aware of the school demographics. It would be nice, we could even have a back to school night before school starts and just get to know the families a little bit better. That way, as a teacher, you're more aware of what's going on in the classroom and how they might respond.
We all come from different parts of the United States. Some of us come from more southern areas, central, the west coast. Just like everybody, come from our own family background with our own cultures, customs, expectations, and our own way of doing things. So our degree of diversity has helped us look at this situation from different sides. That has helped us find the best possible solution that we think there is. Now, on top of that, we also have a diverse background in education and where we've taught, what kinds of students we've taught. All of those experiences have also helped us create the best solution that we think would be the most inclusive for all the students.